Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 11, Chapter 8, The Story of Piṅgalā. Lord Kṛṣṇa told Uddhava how the avadhūta brāhmaṇa explained to Mahārāja Yadu the instructions he had received from 9 of his gurus, beginning with the Python. The instructions the avadhūta brāhmaṇa received from the Python is that an intelligent person should cultivate a mentality of detachment and should maintain his body by accepting whatever comes of its own accord or easily obtained. In this way, he should remain always engaged in the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even if no food is available, the person who wants to engage fully in the Lord's worship should not beg. Rather, he should understand this to be the arrangement of providence, thinking, whatever enjoyment is destined for me will automatically come, and thus I should not uselessly waste the remaining duration of my life in worrying about such things. If he does not get any food, he should simply remain lying like the python and patiently fix his mind in meditation upon the Supreme Lord. The instruction the avadhūta brāhmaṇa received from the ocean is that the mind of the sage who is devoted to the personality of Godhead appears very clear and grave, just like the still ocean waters. The ocean does not overflow during the rainy season, when all the flooded rivers discharge their waters into it, nor does it dry up during the hot season, when the rivers fail to supply it. Similarly, the sage does not become elated when he achieves desirable things, nor does he become distressed in their absence. The instruction of the mouth is that just as he becomes enticed by the fire and gives up his life, the fool who cannot control his senses becomes enchanted by the forms of women decorated with gold ornaments and fine clothing. Chasing after these embodiments of the divine illusory energy of the Lord, he loses his life ultimately and falls down into the most horrible hell. There are two kinds of bees, the bumblebee and the honeybee. The instruction learned from the bumblebee is that a sage should collect only small amounts of food from many different households and thus, day after day, practice the occupation of madhukari for maintaining his existence. A sage should also collect the essential truth from all scriptures be they great or insignificant. The instruction received from the second insect, the honeybee, is that a mendicant sannyasi should not save the food he begs for the sake of having it later, that night or the next day, because if he does so, then just like the greedy honeybee, he will be destroyed along with his hoard. From the elephant, the avadhūta brāhmaṇa received the following instruction. Male elephants are tricked by hunters into moving toward captive female elephants, whereupon they fall into the hunter's ditch and are captured. Similarly, the man who becomes attached to the form of woman falls down into the deep well of material life and is destroyed. The instruction received from the honey thief is that just as he steals the honey collected with great effort by the honeybee, a person in the renounced order of life has the privilege of enjoying before anyone else the food and other valuable things purchased by the hard-earned money of the householders. The instruction from the deer is that just as he becomes confused upon hearing the song of the hunter's flute and loses his life, so also does any person who becomes attracted to mundane music and song uselessly waste his life. The instruction learned from the fish is that because he comes under the sway of attachment to the sense of taste, he is caught on the baited fishhook and must die. Similarly, an unintelligent person who is victimized by his insatiable tongue will also end up losing his life. There was once a prostitute named Piṅgalā in the city of Videha, and from her the avadhūta learned another lesson. One day she dressed herself in very attractive clothing and ornaments, and was waiting from sunset until midnight for a customer. She waited in great anticipation, but as the time passed, her mind became very uneasy. No man came to see her, and in disgust she finally became renounced, giving up her hankering for the arrival of a suitor. Thereafter she engaged herself in thinking only of the Supreme Lord Hari, and her mind achieved the supreme platform of peace. The instruction received from her is that hopes for sense gratification are the root cause of all suffering. Therefore only one who has given up such hankering can fix himself in meditation upon the personality of Godhead and achieve transcendental peace. Text 1. Shri Brahmana Vacha Sukham Aindriyakam Rajan Svargenarakai Vacha Dehinam Yat Yatha Dukham Tasmanicheta Tadbudha. Translation. The saintly Brahmana said, O king, the embodied living entity automatically experiences happiness in heaven or hell. Similarly, happiness will also be experienced even without one seeking it. Therefore, a person of intelligent discrimination should not make any endeavor to obtain such material happiness. Purport. One should not uselessly waste his life pursuing material sense gratification, because a specific quantity of material happiness will automatically come to one as a result of one's past and present fruitive activities. This lesson is learned from the Ajagara or Python, who lies down and accepts for his maintenance whatever comes of its own accord. Remarkably, in both material heaven and hell, happiness and unhappiness come automatically, due to our previous activities, although the proportions of happiness and unhappiness certainly vary. Either in heaven or in hell one may eat, drink, sleep, and have sex life, but these activities, being based on the material body, are temporary and inconsequential. An intelligent person should see that even the best material situation is actually a punishment for previous unlawful activities executed outside the scope of loving devotional service to God. A conditioned soul undergoes great trouble to obtain a little happiness. After struggling in material life, which is full of hardship and hypocrisy, one may receive a little sense gratification, but this illusory pleasure is no way offset the burden of suffering one must bear to obtain it. After all, a pretty hat is no cure for a homely face. If one really wants to solve life's problems, one should live simple and reserve the major portion of one's life for loving service to Kṛṣṇa. Even those who do not serve God receive a certain standard of maintenance from Him. Therefore, we can just imagine the security the Lord affords to those who dedicate their lives to His devotional service. Unrefined fruitful workers foolishly worry only about the present life, whereas more pious karmis imprudently make elaborate arrangements for future material sense gratification, unaware that all such enjoyment is temporary. The real solution, however, is to understand that by pleasing the personality of Godhead, who is the master of all senses and all desires, one can attain permanent happiness. Such knowledge easily solves the problems of life. Text 2. Grāsam sumrishtam virasam mahantam stokameva va yadrichayaiva patitam graset ajagaro kriyaha. Translation. Following the example of the python, one should give up material endeavors and accept for one's maintenance food that comes of its own accord, whether such food be delicious or tasteless, ample or meager. Text 3. Saitaha niburini niraharo nupakramaha yadi nopanayet praso mahahirivadishtabhuk. Translation. If at any time food does not come, then a saintly person should fast for many days without making endeavor. He should understand that by God's arrangement he must fast. Thus, following the example of the python, he should remain peaceful and patient. Purport. If by God's arrangement one is forced to suffer material hardship, then one should think, due to my past sinful activity, I am now being punished, and this way God is merciful in making me humble. The word Sayita means one should remain peaceful and patient without mental agitation. Dishtabhuk means one must accept the personality of Godhead as the supreme controller and not foolishly give up one's faith due to material inconvenience. Tate nukampam sushamikshamano bhojana evatma kritam vipakam. A devotee of the Lord always accepts material hardship as the mercy of Lord Kṛṣṇa. Thus he becomes eligible for supreme liberation. Text 4. Ajoha saho balayutam vibradeham akarmakam sayano vita nidrascha nihyatendriyavanapi. Translation. A saintly person should remain peaceful and materially inactive, maintaining his body without much endeavor. Even though possessed of full sensual, mental and physical strengths, a saintly person should not become active for material gain, but rather should always remain alert to his actual self-interest. Purport. The word Vita Nidra Ha in this verse is very significant. Nidra means sleep or ignorance, and Vita means freed from. In other words, a transcendentalist should always be awake to his eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and should carefully cultivate Kṛṣṇa consciousness. Being confident of his relationship with the Lord, he should not endeavor for his personal maintenance, knowing that the Lord is protecting him in all respects. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur states that the example of the python is given so that one will not uselessly waste his time in bodily maintenance. One should not think, however, that the purpose of life is to lie on the ground like a python, or to make a show of starving the body. The example of the python should not encourage one to become completely inactive. One should rather become active in spiritual advancement and inactive in material sense gratification. If one becomes completely inactive, that is certainly nidra, or the darkness of ignorance, in which one remains asleep to his identity as an eternal servant of the personality of Godhead. A transcendentalist is eager to execute his service to the Lord, and therefore he is grateful when the Lord provides material facilities for such service. Mere renunciation of the material world is palgu vairagya, or an immature stage of spiritual understanding. One must come to the stage of yukta vairagya, engaging everything in the service of Lord Kṛṣṇa. It is our practical experience that a devotee absorbed in spreading Kṛṣṇa consciousness automatically receives all facilities for his personal maintenance. Text 5. Munihi prasanna gambhira durvigahya duratyayaha ananta parohi akshobhyaha stimmitoda ivarnavaha. Translation. A saintly sage is happy and pleasing in his external behavior, whereas internally he is most grave and thoughtful. Because his knowledge is immeasurable and unlimited, he is never disturbed, and thus in all respects he is like the tranquil waters of the unfathomable and unsurpassable ocean. Purport. Even in the midst of great distress, a self-realized sage does not lose control of himself, nor is his spiritual knowledge lost. Thus he is akshobhya, or undisturbed. His mind is fixed on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the reservoir of unlimited spiritual bliss, and having linked his consciousness with the Supreme Consciousness, his knowledge cannot be measured. A pure devotee, having taken shelter of the Lord's lotus feet, possesses great spiritual power, and therefore he cannot be surpassed or overwhelmed. In fact, having developed his spiritual body, he is not affected by the deteriorating actions of time. Although outwardly he is friendly and pleasing to everyone, internally his mind is fixed in the absolute truth, and no one can understand his actual purpose or plan. Even the most intelligent human being cannot understand the mental activities of a self-realized devotee who has given up material life based on lust and greed and taken shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord. Such a great soul can be compared to the mighty ocean. Innumerable powerful rivers plunge into the ocean, but the ocean remains calm and peaceful. Thus a saintly person is understood to be like the ocean, pleasing, unfathomable, grave, unsurpassable, unlimited, and unshakable. Text 6. Samriddha kamohinava narayana paro munihi notsarpita nasushyata saridbir ivasagara. Translation. During the rainy season, the swollen rivers rush into the ocean, and during the dry summer, the rivers, now shallow, severely reduce their supply of water. Yet the ocean does not swell up during the rainy season, nor does it dry up in the hot summer. In the same way, a saintly devotee who has accepted the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the goal of his life sometimes will receive by providence great material opulence, and sometimes he will find himself materially destitute. However, such a devotee of the Lord does not rejoice in a flourishing condition, nor is he morose when poverty is stricken. Purport. A sincere devotee of the Lord is always eager to meet the Lord and render him transcendental service. He wants to remain fixed as an atom at the lotus feet of the Lord, because Lord Kṛṣṇa or Narayana is the reservoir of all pleasure. He rejoices when experiencing pure Kṛṣṇa consciousness, and is morose when Kṛṣṇa is not present in his mind. In his dealings with the material world, a devotee cannot be disturbed by ordinary materialistic people who sometimes insult him and accuse him of neglecting material sense gratification, just as the ocean cannot be disturbed by the innumerable rivers that enter into it. Sometimes lusty women approach a pure devotee, and sometimes speculative philosophers try to argue against the personality of Godhead, but with all such ordinary people, a pure devotee is detached and undisturbed in his blissful Kṛṣṇa consciousness. Text 7. Drishtva striyam deva mayam tad pavair ajitendriyaha pralobhita patati ande tamasi agnao patangavat. Translation. One who has failed to control his senses immediately feels attraction upon seeing a woman's form, which is created by the illusory energy of the Supreme Lord. Indeed, when the woman speaks with enticing words, smiles coquettishly, and moves her body sensuously, his mind is immediately captured, and thus he falls blindly into the darkness of material existence, just as the moth, maddened by the fire, rushes blindly into its flames. Purport. Srila Sridhar Swami explains in this regard that just as a moth is killed by its attraction to the form of fire, similarly a bee can easily be killed by exploiting its attraction to the fragrance of flowers. Furthermore, hunters may trap and kill an elephant by exploiting its sensuous desire to touch a captive female elephant, and may also kill a deer by attracting it with the sounds of their horns. And a fish is killed by its desire to taste the bait on a hook. Thus one who desires to learn detachment from material illusion should accept these 5 helpless creatures as guru and learn the needful. Certainly one who is lusty to enjoy the illusory form of the woman will be quickly buried in material illusion. Of the 5 types of fatal attraction involving material sense objects, The lesson of rupa or form is illustrated in this verse. Text 8. Yoshitiranya bharanam bharadi dravyeshu maya rachiteshu mudaha pralobitatma hi apagboga bhutya patangavan nashyati nashtadrishtihi. Translation. A foolish person with no intelligent discrimination is immediately aroused at the sight of a lusty woman beautifully decorated with golden ornaments, fine clothing, and other cosmetic features. Being eager for sense gratification, such a fool loses all intelligence and is destroyed just like the moth who rushes into the blazing fire. Purport. Actually, women have the power to attract men through all of the material senses. Men become lusty by seeing the body of a woman, by smelling her fragrance, by hearing her voice, by tasting her lips, and by touching her body. However, the foolish relationship based on material sex attraction begins by seeing, and thus rupa or form is very prominent in the process of ruining one's intelligence. This fact has been exploited in modern times by huge pornography industries, which prey on unfortunate men and women. The example of the foolish moth rushing into the fire and destroying itself is most appropriate in this regard, for one who becomes addicted to the momentary pleasure of sex indulgence certainly loses his power to understand the spiritual reality behind dull matter. A lusty person becomes blind and foolish through sex indulgence, and his soul is lost in the fire of sense gratification. This whole disaster can be avoided by taking seriously to the process of chanting the holy names of the Lord. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his empowered representatives such as Srila Prabhupada have created a movement to save people from the dungeon of material life, and we should all seriously take advantage of this opportunity. Text 9. Stokam stokam grasit grasam deho vartita yavata grahan ahimsan atishtet mritim madhukarim munihi. Translation. A saintly person should accept only enough food to keep his body and soul together. He should go from door to door accepting just a little bit of food from each family. Thus he should practice the occupation of the honeybee. Purport. Sometimes a honeybee is attracted by the extraordinary aroma of a particular lotus flower and lingers there, neglecting his usual activity of flying from flower to flower. Unfortunately, at sunset the lotus flower closes, and thus the infatuated honeybee is trapped. Similarly, a sannyasi or brahmachari may discover that excellent foodstuff is available at a particular house, and therefore instead of wandering from place to place, he may become veritable resident of such a well-fed household. Thus he will become bewildered by the illusion of family life and fall down from the platform of renunciation. Also, if a mendicant takes unfair advantage of the Vedic custom of charity and takes too often from a single family, the resentment he causes will disturb the social order. An ideal sage should, like the honeybee, travel from place to place, but he must be careful not to become a chubby bee by going to many houses and eating sumptuously at each house. According to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, such a chubby bee will undoubtedly become entangled in the network of Maya. No one should be overly attached to the gratification of his tongue, because this will lead to an overstuffed belly and an uncontrollable lust. In conclusion, one should not endeavor very much for material sense gratification, but should instead endeavor strenuously to spread the glories of the Supreme Lord Kṛṣṇa. This is the proper use of human energy. Anupyascha mahapyascha Shastrebhyaha kushalo naraha sarvataha saramadyat pushpebhyaiva satpadaha. Translation. Just as the honeybee takes nectar from all flowers, big and small, an intelligent human being should take the essence from all religious scriptures. Purport. In human society, the original knowledge is called Veda, and the essential part of Veda or knowledge is Krishna consciousness. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Vedaischa sarvair ahameva vidyaha. From the honeybee, an intelligent human being should learn to take the essence or nectar of all knowledge. A honeybee does not waste its time trying to carry away an entire bush or garden, but rather takes the essential nectar. We may thus study the difference between the honeybee and the ass who carries heavy loads. Education does not mean to become an intellectual ass carrying heavy loads of useless knowledge. Rather, one should accept the essential knowledge that leads to an eternal life of bliss and understanding. At the present time, people generally have a sectarian concept of religion, and yet there is no scientific understanding of the absolute truth. Such complacent, dogmatic, sectarian religionists can certainly learn something from the example of the honeybee given in this verse. Text 11. Sayantanam svastanam va na sangrinyita bhikshitam pani patro dara matro makshi keva na sangrahi. Translation. A saintly person should not think, this food I will keep to eat tonight, and this other food I can save for tomorrow. In other words, a saintly person should not store foodstuff acquired by begging. Rather, he should use his own hands in his plate and eat whatever fits on them. His only storage container should be his belly, and whatever conveniently fits into his belly should be his stock of food. Thus one should not imitate the greedy honeybee who eagerly collects more and more honey. Purport. There are two types of honeybees, those who collect nectar from the flowers and those who actually manufacture honey in the beehive. This verse refers to the second class. The greedy honeybee eventually collects so much honey that he is trapped in his hive, and in the same way, a materialistic person becomes trapped under the burden of unnecessary material accumulation. One who is interested in making spiritual progress should avoid such a situation. However, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur points out that for the purpose of spreading Krishna consciousness, one may accumulate an unlimited amount of material opulence. This is called Yukta Vairagya, or using everything in the service of Krishna. A saintly person who is unable to work in Lord Chaitanya's mission should practice austerity and collect only what he can hold in his hands and belly. However, one who has given his life to Krishna may collect unlimitedly on Lord Krishna's behalf. In fact, without acquiring material opulence, how is it possible to spread the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world? But if one tries to personally enjoy the funds of facilities acquired from the missionary activities of the Krishna consciousness movement, he commits the greatest offense. Therefore, even in the name of Lord Krishna, one should collect only what he can immediately engage in practical devotional service, otherwise one will fall down to the platform of ordinary greediness. Text 12. Sayantanam svastanam va na sangrinita bhikshukaha makshikaiva sangrinan sahatina vinasyati. Translation. A saintly mendicant should not even collect foodstuffs to eat later in the same day or the next day. If he disregards this injunction and like the honeybee collects more and more delicious foodstuffs, that which he has collected will indeed ruin him. Purport. Brāhmaṇa refers to that honeybee who wanders about from flower to flower and mokshika is the honeybee who accumulates more and more honeybee in the beehive with great attachment. A saintly mendicant should be like the brāhmaṇa bee, because if he imitates the mokshika bee, his spiritual consciousness will be ruined. This point is so important that it is repeated in this verse. Text 13. Padapi yuvatim bhikshur nasprishet dharanimapi sprishan kariva bhadyeta karinya angasangataha. A saintly person should never touch a young girl. In fact, he should not even let his foot touch a wooden doll in the shape of a woman. By bodily contact with a woman, he will surely be captured by illusion, just as the elephant is captured by the she-elephant due to his desire to touch her body. Purport. Elephants are captured in the jungle in the following way. A large hole is dug and then covered over with grass, leaves, mud, and so on. Then a she-elephant is exhibited in front of the male elephant, who chases after her with lusty desire, falls into the hole and is captured. The lesson to be learned from the elephant is that the desire to release the touch sensation is certainly the cause of ruining one's life. An intelligent person, noting the elephant's great propensity to sport with the she-elephant, will take this excellent example to heart. Therefore, somehow or other, one should avoid being cheated by allurement to the sensuous form of woman. One should not allow one's mind to be lost in lusty dreams of sex pleasure. There are various types of sense gratification to be enjoyed between men and women, including speaking, contemplating, touching, sexual intercourse, etc. And all of this constitute the network of illusion by which one is helplessly bound like an animal. Somehow or other, one should remain aloof from sense gratification in the form of sex pleasure. Otherwise, there is no possibility of attaining the spiritual world. Text 14. Nāthi gachet striyam prajaha karchihin mrityum atmana balatikaihi sahanyeta gajair anyair gajoyatha. Translation. A man possessing intelligent discrimination should not under any circumstance try to exploit the beautiful form of a woman for his sense gratification. Just as an elephant trying to enjoy the she-elephant is killed by other bull elephant also enjoying her company, one trying to enjoy a lady's company can at any moment be killed by her other lovers who are stronger than he. Purport. Just as one is enchanted by the beautiful form of a woman, many other men will also be enchanted, and there is danger that they will be stronger than oneself and may even jealously kill one. Crimes of passion are extremely common. This is another disadvantage of material life. Text 15. Nadeyam no pabogyam cha lubdairya dukkha sanchitam Bhunkte tadapi chanyo madhu hevartavin madhu. Translation. A greedy person accumulates a large quantity of money within great struggle and pain. But the person who has struggled so much to acquire this wealth is not always allowed to enjoy it himself or give it in charity to others. The greedy man is like the bee who struggles to produce a large quantity of honey, which is then stolen by a man who will enjoy it personally or sell it to others. No matter how carefully one hides his hard-earned wealth or tries to protect it, there are those who are expert in detecting the whereabouts of valuable things and they will steal it. Purport. One may argue that a wealthy man may conceal his money so expertly by investing it in banks, stocks, properties, and so on, that there is no danger of theft. Only foolish persons actually hide money by burying it in the ground or placing it under a mattress. But despite the fact that the majority of the world's wealth has been accumulated in highly developed capitalistic countries, these countries are being severely challenged by many enemies who threaten at any moment to overrun the capitalists and steal their wealth. Similarly, we often find that the children of wealthy people are kidnapped and then their parents must pay huge ransoms. Sometimes the parents themselves may also be kidnapped. Furthermore, there are so-called investment counselors who are expert in stealing the money of rich people. And in the modern age, governments have also become expert in stealing money by taxation. Thus the word arthavid indicates one who by hook or by crook is expert in stealing the hard-earned wealth of other people. The bees work frantically to produce honey, but they will not enjoy their honey. As Lord Kṛṣṇa states, Mrityuhu sarvaharaschaha, I will come as death personified and steal everything. Somehow or other, one's hard-earned material opulence will be stolen, and therefore, as mentioned in this verse, one should not work uselessly like the foolish honeybee. Text 16. Sudukko parijitair vitair asasanam grihasishaha madhuheva grato bhunkte yatir vaigrihamidinam. Translation. Just as a hunter takes away the honey laboriously produced by the honeybees, similarly saintly mendicants such as brahmacharis and sannyasis are entitled to enjoy the property painstakingly accumulated by householders dedicated to family enjoyment. Purport. The scripture states saintly mendicants in the sannyas order of life and brahmacharis have first right to enjoy the sumptuous foodstuff produced by the householders. If the householders enjoy such foodstuffs without first offering them in charity to the mendicants, such neglectful householders must undergo the lunar fast called Chandrayanam. In family life, one must overcome the natural tendency towards selfishness by giving abundant charity. Modern society foolishly does not observe such Vedic injunctions, and as a result, the world has become overrun by envious Grihamedis, persons wholly and solely dedicated to personal gratification in family life. Therefore, the whole world is seized in an uncontrollable spasm of violence and suffering. If one wants to live peacefully, one must follow the Vedic injunctions regulating family life. Although the householders work very hard to accumulate money, the saintly sannyasis and brahmacharis have the right to first enjoy the fruits of such labor. The conclusion is that one should give first priority to spiritual advancement in Krishna consciousness and thus perfect one's life. Then even without personal endeavor, one will be supplied all of one's necessities by the mercy of the Personality of Godhead. Text 17. Gramya gitam nashrunya yatirvana charaha kvachit shiksheta harinat bhathan mrgayor gita mohitat. Translation. A saintly person dwelling in the forest in renounced order of life should never listen to songs or music promoting material enjoyment. Rather, a saintly person should carefully study the example of the deer, who is bewildered by the sweet music of the hunter's horn, and is thus captured and killed. Purport. If one becomes attached to the sense gratification of materialistic music and songs, one will develop all the features of material entanglement. One should hear Bhagavad Gita or the songs sung by the Supreme Lord. Text 18. Nrityavaditra gitani jushan gramyani yoshitam asam kridanako vasya risharshngo mrgi sutaha. Translation. becoming attracted to the worldly singing, dancing, and musical entertainment of beautiful women. Even the great sage Rishashringa, the son of Mrigi, fell totally under their control just like a pet animal. Purport: Rishashringa, the young son of the sage Mrigi, was intentionally brought up by his father in an atmosphere of complete innocence. Mrigi Rishi thought that if his son were never exposed to the sight of women, he would always remain a perfect brahmachari. But by chance the inhabitants of the neighboring kingdom, who were suffering from a long-term drought, received divine advice that rain would return to their kingdom only after the brāhmaṇa named Rishashringa stepped foot in it. Therefore they sent beautiful women to the hermitage of Mrigi to entice Rishashringa and bring him back with them. Since Rishashringa had never even heard about women, he easily fell for their trap. The name Rishashringa indicates that the young sage was born with a deer-like horn growing out of his forehead. It, like the deer, a rishi becomes attracted to sweet musical sounds promising sense gratification. Then, like the deer, he is quickly vanquished. A thoughtful person should humbly take instruction from the deer, who is doomed by attraction to musical sense gratification. Text 19. Jighvayati pramathinya jano rasa vimohitaha mrityum mrichati asad buddhir minastu badisayaryatha. Translation: just as a fish, incited by the desire to enjoy his tongue, is fatally trapped on the fisherman's hook, similarly a foolish person is bewildered by the extremely disturbing urge of the tongue and thus is ruined. Purport: the fisherman places meaty bait on a sharp hook and easily attracts the unintelligent fish, who is greedy to enjoy its tongue. Similarly, people are mad after gratifying their tongues and lose all discrimination in their eating habits. For momentary gratification, they construct huge slaughterhouses and kill millions of innocent creatures, and by inflicting such atrocious suffering, they prepare a ghastly future for themselves. But even if one eats only the foods authorized in the Vedas, there is still danger. One may eat too sumptuously, and then the artificially stout belly will create pressure on the sexual organs. Thus one will fall down into the lower modes of nature and commit sinful activities that lead to the death of one's spiritual life. From the fish one should carefully learn the real dangers involved in gratifying the tongue. Text 20. Indriyani jayanti asu nirahara manishinaha nivarjayitva tu rasanam tan nirannasya vardhate. Translation: by fasting, learned men quickly bring all of the senses expect the tongue under control, because by abstaining from eating, such men are afflicted with an increased desire to gratify the sense of taste. Purport: in South America there is a saying that when the belly is full, the heart is content. Thus, one who is eating sumptuously is jolly, and if one is deprived of proper food, one's appetite becomes even more voracious. An intelligent person, however, does not fall under the control of the tongue, but rather tries to make progress in Krishna consciousness. By accepting the remnants of food offered to the Lord, prasadam, one gradually purifies the heart and automatically becomes simple and austere. In this connection, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur states that the business of the tongue is to gratify itself with the varieties of flavor, but by wandering in the 12 holy forests of Vrajamandala, Vrindavana, one can be freed from the 12 flavors of material sense gratification. The 5 principal divisions of material relationships are natural admiration, servitude, friendship, parental affection, and conjugal love. The 7 subordinate features of material relationships are material human, astonishment, chivalry, compassion, anger, dread, and ghastliness. Originally, these 12 rasas or flavors of relationships are exchanged between the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entity in the spiritual world, and by wandering in the 12 forests of Vrindavana, one can re-spiritualize the 12 flavors of personal existence. Thus one will become a liberated soul, free from all material desires. If one artificially tries to give up sense gratification, especially that of the tongue, the attempt will be a failure, and in fact one's desire for sense gratification will increase as a result of artificial deprivation. Only by experiencing real spiritual pleasure in relationship with Kṛṣṇa can one give up material desires. Text 21. Tavat jitendriyo nasyat vijitanyendriyaha puman na jayat rasanam yavaj jitam sarvam jite rase. Translation. Although one may conquer all of the other senses, as long as the tongue is not conquered, it cannot be said that one has controlled his senses. However, if one is able to control the tongue, then one is understood to be in full control of all the senses. Purport. By eating, one gives energy and activity to all of the senses, and thus if the tongue is uncontrolled, all of the senses will be dragged down to the material platform of existence. Therefore, by all means, one must control the tongue. If one fasts, then all of the other senses become weak and lose their potency. The tongue, however, becomes more greedy to taste delicious preparations, and when one finally indulges the tongue, all of the senses quickly go out of control. Therefore, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur advises that one accept Mahaprasad, or the remnants of the Lord's food, in a moderate proportion. Since the tongue's function is also to vibrate, one should vibrate the glorious holy name of the Supreme Lord and taste the ecstasy of pure Kṛṣṇa consciousness. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Rasa Varjam Rasopi Asya Param Drishtva Nivartate. Only by the higher taste of Kṛṣṇa consciousness can one give up the deadly lower taste that keeps one imprisoned in material bondage. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur states that as long as one's intelligence is materially covered, one cannot understand the pleasure of Kṛṣṇa consciousness. Trying to enjoy without Kṛṣṇa, the living entity leaves the abode of the Supreme Lord, called Vraja Bhumi, and comes down into the material world, where he quickly loses control of his senses. One becomes particularly victimized by the tongue, belly, and genitals, which exert intolerable pressure on the conditioned soul. These desires subside, however, when one re-establishes one's blissful relationship with the Lord, who is actually the reservoir of all pleasure. One who is attached to the taste of Kṛṣṇa consciousness automatically follows all of the rules and regulations of religious life due to spontaneous attraction to Vishuddha Sattva, or the mode of pure goodness. Without such spontaneous attraction, one is certainly bewildered by the pushing of the material senses. Even the beginning stage of devotional service, called sadhana bhakti regulatory practice, is so powerful that it brings one to the platform of anartha nivritti, where one becomes free from unwanted sinful habits and gains relief from the pressure of the tongue, belly, and genitals. Thus one is delivered from the bondage of material addiction and can no longer be cheated by the allurements of the material energy. As it is said, all that glitters is not gold. In this regard, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur recommends that we consider the following song written by his father, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Sharira vidya jal jadendriya tahekal jive pele vishay sagare taramadya jivati lobhamay sudurmate take je ta katina samsare Kṛṣṇa badadayamai karivare jiva jai sa prasadana dilabai senamrita pav Radha Kṛṣṇa gunagao premadakush chaitanya nitai. O Lord, this material body is a lump of ignorance, and the senses are a network of path to death. Somehow we have fallen into this ocean of material sense enjoyment, and of all the senses the tongue is most ferocious and uncontrollable. It is very difficult to conquer the tongue in this world, but you, dear Kṛṣṇa, are very kind to us and have given us such nice prasadam just to control the tongue. Now we take this prasadam to our full satisfaction and glorify their Lordship Shri Shri Radha Kṛṣṇa, and in love call for the help of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. Text 22. Piṅgalā nama vishyasit videha nagare pura tasya me shikshitam kinchin nibodha nirpanandana. Translation. A son of kings, previously in the city of Videha, there dwelled a prostitute named Piṅgalā. Now please hear what I have learned from that lady. Text 23. Sa svairini ekadakantam sankita upanishyati abhutkale bahirdvare bibrati rupam uttamam. Translation. Once that prostitute, desiring to bring a lover into her house, stood outside in the doorway at night, showing her beautiful form. Text 24. Marga agacchato viksha purushan purusharshabha tan shukladan vitta vahataha kantan minirtha kamukki. Translation. O best among men, this prostitute was very anxious to get money, and as she stood on the street at night, she studied all the men who were passing by, thinking, "Oh, this one surely has money. I know he can pay the price, and I am sure he would enjoy my company very much." Thus she thought about all the men on the street. Text 25-26. Agatesh apayateshu sasankhe topajivini apyanyo vittavan kopi mamupaishyati buridaha evam durashaya dvasta nidradvari avalambati nirgachanti pravishati nishitam samapadyata. Translation. As the prostitute Piṅgalā stood in the doorway, many men came and went, walking by her house. Her only means of sustenance was prostitution, and therefore she anxiously thought, "Maybe this one who is coming now is very rich. Oh, he is not stopping. But I am sure someone else will come. Surely this man who is coming now will want to pay me for my love, and he will probably give lots of money." Thus with vain hope she remained leaning against the doorway, unable to finish her business and go to sleep. Out of anxiety she would sometimes walk out toward the street, and sometimes she went back into her house. In this way the midnight hour gradually arrived. Text 27. Tasya vitasaya sushyad viktraya dinachetasaha nirvedaha paramo yagye chinta hetuhu sukhavaha. Translation. As the night wore on, the prostitute, who intensely desired money, gradually became morose, and her face dried up. Thus, being filled with anxiety for money and most disappointed, she began to feel a great detachment from her situation, and happiness arose in her mind. Purport. It appears from these verses that on this particular night the prostitute Piṅgalā was not at all successful in attracting customers to her house. Being completely frustrated and disappointed, she gradually became indifferent to her situation. Thus great suffering sometimes leads one to the path of enlightenment. Or according to a Sanskrit proverb, disappointment gives rise to the greatest satisfaction. The prostitute had dedicated her life to satisfying the lusty desires of many men, engaging her mind, body and words in the service of paying lovers. She completely forgot the devotion service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus her mind was most unsteady and disturbed. Finally, being completely frustrated, her face and throat drying up, she began to feel indifferent to her situation, and happiness arose in her mind. Text 28. Tasya nirvinna chittaya Gitam shrunu yatha mama nirveda shapashanam purushasya yatha hyasihi. Translation. The prostitute felt disgusted with her material situation and thus became indifferent to it. Indeed, detachment acts like a sword, cutting to pieces the binding network of material hopes and desires. Now please hear from me the song sung by the prostitute in that situation. Purport: the network of material desires is created when one falls to things that he can establish himself permanently in the material world. This binding network should be cut by the sword of detachment, otherwise one will be forced to wander in the illusory network of Maya, with no understanding of liberated life on the spiritual platform. Text 29. Nahi angajata nirvedo deha bandham jihasati yatha vijnana rahito manujo mamatam nirpa. Translation: O king, just as a human being who is bereft of spiritual knowledge never desires to give up his false sense of proprietorship over many material things, similarly, the person who has not developed detachment never desires to give up the bondage of material body. Text 30. Piṅgalā vacha aho me mohavitatim pasyata vijitatmanaha yakantad asantaha kamam kamayena balisa. Translation: the prostitute Piṅgalā said, just see how greatly illusioned I am. Because I cannot control my mind, just like a fool, I desired lusty pleasure from an insignificant man. Purport: in material existence, all of the senses are attracted by different objects, and thus the conditioned soul becomes a first-class fool. The cause of material life is one's indifference to the absolute truth. The conditioned soul considers himself to be the lord and enjoyer of the material world, and considers the purpose of life to be sense gratification. The more one tries to enjoy the material world, the more one's illusion increases. It appears from this verse that the prostitute Piṅgalā was not only earning her livelihood through prostitution, but was actually enjoying her illicit contact with innumerable men. The words kantad asatah indicate that she was freely selling herself without discrimination to the most ordinary and useless men, considering them to be lovers. Thus she says, I was a great fool. The word balisa means one who has a childish mentality without practical experience of right and wrong. Text 31. Santam samipe ramanam rati pradam vitta pradam nityam imam vihaya akamadam dukkya bhayadhi soka moha pradam tucchamaham bhajeya. Translation: I am such a fool that I have given up the service of that person who, being eternally situated within my heart, is actually most dear to me. That most dear one is the Lord of the universe, who is the bestower of real love and happiness and the source of all prosperity. Although he is in my own heart, I have completely neglected him. Instead, I have ignorantly served insignificant men who can never satisfy my real desires and who have simply brought me unhappiness, fear, anxiety, lamentation, and illusion. Purport: Piṅgalā laments that she chose to serve most sinful, useless men. She falsely thought they would bring her happiness and neglected to serve the actual Lord of her heart, Kṛṣṇa. She could understand how foolishly she had struggled for money, not knowing that the Supreme Lord is always inclined toward prosperity to his sincere devotee. The prostitute was proud of her ability to please men, but she now laments that she did not try to please the Supreme Lord by loving service. The Supreme Lord is completely aloof from the transactions of material world. Lord Kṛṣṇa is the actual enjoyer of everyone in everything, but one must learn how to please the Lord by pure spiritual service. Text 32. Aho mayatma parita pito vrata santyetya vrityati vigarhya vartaya strainam narad yartotra triso nusachat kritena vittam ratim atma nichati. Translation: Oh, how I have uselessly tortured my own soul! I have sold my body to lusty, greedy men, who are themselves object of pity. Thus, practicing the most abominable profession of a prostitute, I hoped to get money and sex pleasure. Purport: The art of prostitution is based on awakening the enjoying propensity in men. Apparently this prostitute was so foolish that she maintained a romantic conception of her profession, and was actually trying to enjoy loving affairs with her customers, not realizing that they were the lowest of men with the most abominable motives. Like the prostitute Piṅgalā, one should understand that by giving up the devotional service of the Lord, one simply becomes a victim of the leisure energy and suffers greatly. Text 33. Yad asti nirmita vamsya stunam tvacharo manaikaihi pinadham ksharan avadhvaram agarametad vinmutra purnam mad upaiti kanya. Translation: This material body is like a house in which I, the soul, am living. The bones forming my spine, ribs, arms and legs are like the beams, crossbeams and pillars of the house, and the whole structure, which is full of stool and urine, is covered by skin, hair and nails. The 9 doors leading into this body are constantly exerting foul substances. Besides me, what woman could be so foolish as to devote herself to this material body, thinking that she might find pleasure and love in this contraption? Purport: The 9 doors leading into and out of the body are the 2 eyes, the 2 nostrils, the mouth, the 2 ears, the genitals, and the anus. Vamsha or spine also means bamboo, and indeed the skeleton appears to resemble a bamboo construction. Just as bamboo can be immediately burned to ashes or chopped into pieces, similarly the material body, which is constantly deteriorating, may at any moment be crushed into powder, cut into pieces, drowned, burned, suffocated, and so on. Even eventually the body must disintegrate, and therefore there is certainly no one as unfortunate as one who has dedicated himself, heart and soul, to this flimsy body, which is filled with unpleasant elements. Text 34. Videhanam pure hyasmin aham ekaiva mutadhi yanyam icchanti asati asmad atmadat kamam achyutat. Translation: Certainly in this city of Videha, I alone am completely foolish. I neglected the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who awards us everything, even our original spiritual form, and instead I desired to enjoy sense gratification with many men. Text 35. Sukritpristha tamo nartha atma chayam sharirinam tam vikriyatmanaivaham ramenina yatha rama. Translation: The Supreme Personality of Godhead is absolute, the most dear one, for all living beings, because he is everyone's well-wisher and Lord. He is the Supreme Soul situated in everyone's heart. Therefore I will now pay the price of complete surrender, and thus purchasing the Lord, I will enjoy with him just like Lakshmi Devi. Purport: The real friend of all conditioned souls is the Supreme Lord, and only he can award the highest perfection in life. By following the example of Lakshmi Devi, who always remains at the lotus feet of the Lord, one will certainly obtain eternal happiness. One should make the best use of the material body, which is a bad bargain, and surrender one's body, mind, and words to the Lord. Paying such a price, one can purchase the Lord, who is everyone's dearest well-wisher. Thus one's ancient propensity for sense gratification will automatically be controlled. Text 36. Kiyat priyam te vyabhajan kamaye kamada naraha adi antavanto bharyaya devava kala vidrutaha. Translation. Men provide sense gratification for women, but all these men, and even the demigods in heaven, have a beginning and end. They are all temporary creations who will be dragged away by time. Therefore, how much actual pleasure or happiness could any of them ever give to their wives? Purport. In this material world, everyone is basically pursuing his personal sense gratification, and thus everyone is being ruined by the influence of time. On the material platform, no one actually helps anyone else. So-called material love is simply a cheating process, as the Lady Piṅgalā is now discovering. Text 37. Nūnam me bhagavan prito Vishnuhu kenapi karmana nirvedoyam durasyaya yanme jataha sukha. Translation. Although I most stubbornly hope to enjoy the material world, somehow or other detachment has arisen in my heart, and it is making me very happy. Therefore the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, must be pleased with me. Without even knowing it, I must have performed some activity satisfying to him. Text 37. Text 38. Maivam syurmandabhagyaha klesha nirveda hetavaha yenanu bandham nihritya purushaha samam richati. Translation. A person who has developed detachment can give up the bondage of material society, friendship, and love. And a person who undergoes great suffering gradually becomes out of hopelessness, detached and indifferent to the material world. Thus, due to my great suffering, such detachment awoke in my heart. Yet how could I have undergone such merciful suffering if I were actually unfortunate? Therefore, I am in fact fortunate and have received the mercy of the Lord. He must somehow or other be pleased with me. Text 39. Tenopakritam madaya shirasa gramya sangataha tyakta durasaha sharanam vrajamitam adhiswaram. Translation. With devotion I accept the great benefit that the Lord has bestowed upon me. Having given up my sinful desires for ordinary sense gratification, I now take shelter of Him, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 40. Santushta shraddha thati yatha labena jivati vaharami amunaivaham atmana rama ninavai. Translation. I am now completely satisfied, and I have full faith in the Lord's mercy. Therefore I will maintain myself with whatever comes of its own accord. I shall enjoy life with only the Lord, because He is the real source of love and happiness. Text 41. Samsara kupe patitam vishayair mushite kshanam grastam kala hinatmanam konyas tratum adhishvaraha. Translation. The intelligence of the living entity is stolen away by activities of sense gratification, and thus he falls into the dark well of material existence. Within that well he is then seized by the deadly serpent of time. Who else but the Supreme Personality of Godhead could save the poor living entity from such a hopeless condition? Purport. Piṅgalā stated in a previous verse that even the demigods are unable to give actual happiness to a woman. One may question who has authorized this lady to reject even such exalted personalities as Brahma, Shiva, and the other demigods. The answer given here is that if one actually wants to solve all the problems of life and go back home, back to Godhead, then the only solution is to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. It is well known that the demigods themselves are subject to birth and death. As stated by Lord Shiva himself, mukti pradata sarvesham Vishnureva na samsayaha. There is no doubt that Vishnu is the deliverer of liberation for everyone. Text 32. Atmaiva hi atmano gopta nirvidyata yadakhilat apramatta idam pasyat grastam kalaihina jagat. Translation. When the living entity sees that the entire universe has been seized by the serpent of time, he becomes sober and sane, and at that time detaches himself from all material sense gratification. In that condition, the living entity is qualified to be his own protector. Purport. In this word, Piṅgalā states that by the Lord's mercy, a self-realized soul can see that the entire universe is existing within the jaws of the great serpent of time. Certainly, this is not a promising situation, and one who sees it loses his desire for sense gratification. Thus, by the Lord's causeless mercy, the spiritually sane living entity can protect himself from illusion. Since Piṅgalā is now glorifying the personality of Godhead for his mercy in awarding salvation, the following question might arise. Is she worshipping the Lord out of love, or is she merely a salvationist desiring liberation from material existence? In answer, it may be said that in her Krishna-conscious situation, she is already liberated, even though remaining in this world. Her program will now be simply to render loving service to the personality of Godhead without any personal desire, including that of salvation. Text 43. Shri Brahmana Vacha Evam Vyavasita Matir Durasam Kantatarshajam Chitvopasamam Pasamam Astaya Shayam Upavivesha. Translation. The avadhūta said, thus her mind completely made up, Piṅgalā cut off all her sinful desires to enjoy sex pleasure with lovers, and she became situated in perfect peace. Then she sat down on her bed. Text 44. Ashahi paramam dukkham nairashyam paramam sukham yatha sanchidya kantasam sukham sushvapa Piṅgalā. Translation. Material desire is undoubtedly the cause of the greatest unhappiness, and freedom from such desire is the cause of the greatest happiness. Therefore, completely cutting off her desire to enjoy so-called lovers, Piṅgalā very happily went to sleep. Thus end the purports of the humble servants of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada to the 11th Canto, 8th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Story of Piṅgalā.